We are still going through those areas with high volume of customers. So as we are trying to get on the most customers at a time, a lot of our circuits still have 1,000 or more customers out on them, and those are the ones we are focused on. We do have some crews going around and starting to remove some of the smaller sections to be able to restore quicker. Early in this storm, we hit a lot of when we were restoring, that is a much quicker effort until we get to the point where now we have to do a lot more pole setting. And as you see, the pole numbers continue to go up. We are going to be increasing that pole setting speed.
You said you aren't taking shortcuts just to add more crews, but some would say that's not a shortcut, but actually helpful. So I guess my question is, why not add more crews if you can?
Yeah, so the importance of keeping our crews safe is what I went over, and we have to keep them safe. That is paramount to everything we are doing.
But can you
we are
add
vetting
more crews if you can?
We are adding them all of the time. That's why every day you're seeing our number go up. What we have to do, and I have been communicating with people since the beginning of the storm across all companies that are qualified and reputable to come on quickly, that we are familiar with, and having those conversations from the very beginning. As we get to that point of bringing them on, we are able to work through the process and bring them on quickly. We have to make sure they will keep themselves safe and all of the people that are on our system. We have 1,000 workers that are on our system right now. We'll have nearly 1,100 tonight. We have to ensure that they're all working safely.
So how many did you add since the beginning of the week, if you can get a number, ballpark number?
I'm going to have to get that to you just to be able to, it's been accelerating so frequently, I need to get a better information for you.
Here, here, and here. Remember
I'd like to elaborate a little bit on that question also. When we bring in contract crews, we can't just let them loose on our system. Our system's complex. We have a variety of voltages, and they don't have the expertise to necessarily know what's what unless we have an NES person with them. And they also can't communicate with our system control. So our system control needs to make sure that what they're around is de-energized and safe for them. So we're sending an NES individual with the crews. So to digest crews, we have a number of crews come in, and we'll have an NES person overseeing them. They will get them oriented, get them to work, and then we're taking on more crews. Like, okay, great. These guys are now oriented, working safely, being overseen, and they'll have questions, and we'll still need to be very hands-on, but now we can bring in more crews. So that's kind of how we're managing our pace on that, and we're continuing. I want every customer on as quickly as possible, so we're continuing to do that safely.
Here, 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 here.
Follow-up. So, it's fine.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, just a follow-up on what you said. So, how many crews did you, and not just contract crews and then the folks that you already have a relationship with, how many did you have staged in advance of the storm? When you knew the storm was coming, how many people, there's an argument to be made here that more crews could have been brought in, trained up on the system before this happened to avoid kind of this post-mortem speed up. So what was that situation? Why not have more crews staged?
I'll speak to that briefly, and then Brent knows head count and kind of manage the process of bringing in contract crews. But we had contract crews lined up and here in Nashville prior to the storm. But then there were also others where we asked for additional crews, and they said, well, and they were already partners that we utilized, but they had them staged at other places. You may recall Memphis was supposed to get the bulk of the ice initially, and then a few days prior to the storm, it shifted, and we were predicted to get more of it. Well, at that point, they promised us their crews if it materialized the way it looked like it was going to at that point, but they had taken a lot of the resources. Well, they sent them to us when the storm came through after they were cleared, but there was something else I wanted to address on that. I didn't quite remember what it was, but I'll jump back in if I remember. I'll let Brent.
Yeah, so I think it's important. I know Teresa mentioned just bringing the crews on safely. Some of the contract resources we were waiting for and that were in other places are able to hit our ground running, and they have had that 40-hour hazardous energy control training. So one of the benefits of bringing on people that have worked on our system or in those companies is that we know they can get here and get to work without extra supervision. So when the storm was coming, We knew where all of those crews were, and we knew wherever it was going to hit, how we would get those crews here. So that was really what was going on as we prepared. We had roughly 200 that we were going to be able to be staffed up Saturday night. Within the next morning, once Memphis's storm didn't go their way and went ours, there was another 80 immediately there. And then we continued to ramp up, and my memory from exactly what it was, I believe on Monday night we were over 600 by the time Monday night
Well,
hit.
Early Monday, you started with under 200, and then it went up to hopefully 500 by the end of Monday, I believe.
Okay, and we'll get that. We'll get the number. It's probably good for us to go get those numbers and really put that together because we were ramping quickly. Yeah.
And just to be clear, so you're saying you didn't turn anyone away, but at the same time, you're also saying we're not going to have people who we don't feel comfortable having on our lines who aren't familiar with the system. In essence, are you saying we turned people away who we didn't feel comfortable having out in the system? There's a disconnect there.
So vetting for safety is exactly what has to be done every time. And there were conversations I was having regularly that as we were getting through from the beginning until we were bringing them on, those conversations went on for a couple of days and we were bringing those on. So vetting them very well was what we were going through.
Yeah,
And so
let's go here, then here, 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 here.
From the very beginning, not a single person in the city has known when their power was coming back on. At this point, you have 86,000 people who still don't know when their power is coming back on. Has your notification system simply failed?
So customers have to know this information, and that is what we said from the beginning, is we have to get enough information on the ground about where all of the damage is and how fast we can restore. The size of this storm has really challenged us to be able to get that in the way that we can know where those customers' outages are. As I mentioned, we're at 80% assessment. Getting the assessments done will help us be able to know how to provide that information. So showing the information we're having, we are using tools that aren't the ones that we already had in place to make sure we can meet that need of getting that customer information.
There are people that are asking why in the world the notification system wasn't ready to go when this ice storm hit, why we are still waiting. There are some people that are up without power for 5 days. You said today, it could be next week. How are people supposed to know what they should do?
Yeah, so that's what we're working on right now, is to try to get more of the information. You can see every day we're providing more information. We're working diligently to get that information
But
out.
we're on day 5.
Absolutely.
And it's still not ready?
Absolutely. We are working to get that ready to our customers.
All right, next question. There have been faulty NES alerts that have gone out, alerting people that their power is back on, but it's still not. You said yesterday that that would stop. Last night at 5 o'clock, people are still getting the alerts. They're still getting it today. What's wrong with that system?
We are continuing to evaluate that. That first time we went through it was because of the circuits being broke apart. Now we have found just one more technology piece that has to be improved. The teams are working on this diligently, watching to find those issues before they happen, and the magnitude of this storm has tested some of those systems.
Come up over here because I skipped you, so you, then you, even you.
All right. Hi, Austin Horn, also with the Tennessee. Thanks for taking our questions. I've been seeing some speculation from folks online and elsewhere, perhaps as a result of just this wait that some are experiencing still for power to return. People keep saying that they're being told if a tree falls on their property and is on a power line, that the homeowner is responsible for getting that tree removed before NES will come to work on the line. Could one of you weigh in on whether that's factual or not? Or
Yeah, so there's a couple things. So the main line that is out in front of someone's house, that is our responsibility to trim. When that service drop goes to the house, and we've talked about the weatherhead, that is something that is on the customer's side while we're going. And so that is important. That part of that service is something that customers do have to maintain.
what part of what, sir? Could you make that a little more clear for me?
Yeah, so coming out of the home, there's a meter base and there's a weatherhead, and to be really technical, there is the wire that goes from the house to the main line, usually at a road or at the back lot line.
Okay.
That service drop, if it's, yeah.
How are you communicating that then to customers? That's hard for me to follow in a press
Yes.
conference.
So we have brochures we have made, and we've had those available. I think there were another 1,000 printed yesterday. We are printing those out regularly and sharing that on our social media and our website.
So you're disseminating information about that now?
We have been, yes,
Okay.
for several days.
Cool. Thank you.
To the best of your knowledge, at this moment, what is the timeline for that remaining 80 or 90,000 or so customers who
Yeah.
are without power? And kind of can you talk about why things seem to be moving pretty slowly for those?
Yeah, I can do both of those. So one, at the beginning of the week, I said this was going to be a multi-day prolonged event and was looking at sometime closer to the weekend to be able to have a better idea. We're at 80% assessment, and that assessment is so key for us to be able to give accurate information. The one thing we don't want to do is give inaccurate information, but we absolutely have to start giving more information, which is what we're working on. To give that, as we get more progress in the field, that is how, that we just have to get more done in the field to make that happen. And the constraints that we've talked about already is why that's taken some time. The reason that we have the length of time to get power restored, we are now setting more and more poles every day. It takes quite a bit of time to set a pole and to get that put up. With all of the resources we have here, it is still that more long duration work. When you first start a storm, there are a lot of sections that can be energized by having somebody go out and remove certain damage that is outside of that and get power restored. But right now we are to that heavy lifting piece of putting poles in place and getting wires strung.
Okay, we're about to have to wrap up, so.
Oh,
We got a lot more
Yeah,
questions.
Yeah,
I
more
see a
questions,
lot
sir.
more
I haven't had a
questions.
question
Excuse
yet.
me. I know, I was gonna say,
Sure, so-
yeah, but hold on. You were up, and you were up, and you were up. You three were already up. We're sorry we can't get to all the questions, but we need them to get out to do their work. So let's go ahead and go,
To your-
you.
To your knowledge, did potential line workers fail vetting, and if so, can you give us a ballpark of how many of those you turned away because they failed vetting?
I don't have that. What we have worked through is to make sure everybody is vetted, and so as
Did some fail vetting? That's a yes or no question that I feel like you should be able to.
so we have a lot of people we are still talking to. Actually, every day when we are working through these people that are coming in, we are still working. A lot of people that I've been having conversations with, we are vetting through or seeing when they can come on safely for us as well. When can we take
Do you
them
know
on?
of anyone who's failed the vetting process?
I'm telling you right now, our vetting process is still underway every day. So we are still working with people to bring people on. So everybody we have been talking to, that if we couldn't get them today, we are still working to find out when we can get them.
Okay, and you started with about 150 personnel shortage is what a union rep told me a couple of days ago of frontline workers. Either of you in your positions as leadership here, did you ever pass over or prioritize something at the expense of hiring more repair workers or frontline workers? Was that over the last year before this storm hit? Were you just not scaling up in the way that maybe you should have been, or was that not a concern of yours?
So, yeah.
I'm not aware of a shortage. That's not a discussion, that's not something the union has brought forward to us. We have a robust workforce, we are continuously hiring, and it's all to support our community. So I'm not aware of any such issue.
You wouldn't say NES started this storm with a shortage of frontline workers. Is that right?
So what we do all the time is ensure we get people hired on regularly. So we onboard all the time and have people. We do have retirements and onboarding on a regular basis. So our effort to keep fully staffed has
You're
been
saying
ongoing.
that NES did not start the storm with a shortage of frontline workers. Is that right?
I'm saying we're dedicated to have a qualified workforce that is ready to work all of the time.